the sun appears to rise, warming up the earth and lighting up the skies. As the planet rotates, the sun appears to sink, blue and green and purple, yellow, red and pink. Dance, Shiva, dance, dance, Shiva, dance, 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 Shiva, dance. As the planet rotates, the sun appears to rise. Creatures that are dreaming open up their eyes, looking out the windows of their eyes and ears, chasing their desires, running from their fears. Dance, Shiva, dance, dance, Shiva, dance, 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 Shiva, dance. The crescent moon's reflected in a blessed pond, appearing in the water, being far beyond. The beauty of the moment captivates the mind. In this quiet stillness, there is no space or time. There is Shiva's face, there is Shiva's face, there is Shiva's face. Coming out of nowhere blows a gentle breeze. Feel it on the cheek now, hear it in the trees. The moon is still reflected, the moon is still beyond. The moon is golden waves that shimmer on the pond. Dance, Shiva, dance, dance, Shiva, dance, 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 Shiva, dance. As the planet rotates, round and round we go. Life and death and life again, a never-ending show. As the planet rotates 100 billion times, creatures are evolving to destiny divine. Dance, Shiva, dance, dance, Shiva, dance, 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 Shiva, dance, dance, Shiva, dance, dance, Shiva, dance, 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 Shiva, dance.
Om Shurjo Yathandhang Hitamo Nihanti Vishnur Yathadushta Janans Chinatti Tathaiva Jasya Khilonetraloham Rupam Tritapam Vimukhi Karoti Tang Deshikendrang Paramam Pavitram Vishwasya Palang Madhuram Jatindram Hitayunrinang Naramurtimantang Vivekananda Namami. Verily, as the sun dispels the intense darkness, as the Lord Vishnu destroys the wicked ones, in exactly the same manner, whose handsome appearance the cynosure of all eyes, drives away the threefold miseries of life to that teacher of teachers, supremely pure, the guardian of the world, the sweet one, the prince of yogins, who took up the human form for the good of humankind. To that Vivekananda I prostrate myself. Om Shanti, Shanti, Shanti. Today our topic is little confusing, it seems. The Shiva with companion of Krishna. What we wanted to say, the Shiva is all auspicious, and Shiva destroys the darkness, the ignorance, destroys the evil, and Krishna nurtures, the Lord Vishnu nurtures, protects, and sustains this universe. So here we find that in the advent of Sri Ramakrishna, which Sri Ramakrishna came as said by Roman Roland, that man whose image I here evoke was the consummation of 2000 years of spiritual life of 300 million people. His inner life embraced the whole of multiplicity of men and gods. It was the part of the very source of energy, the divine Shakti. So that was Shiva, Sri Ramakrishna, the mixture of Shiva and Vishnu. So we like to focus today on Shiva appearing in the human form as Swami Vivekananda, and the Krishna and his companion Swami Brahmananda, how it came from same Sri Ramakrishna source, divine two facets, and merged into one thing again to preach the eternal message of Shiva and Krishna. Swami Sri Ramakrishna had two weapons in his hand, two integral parts. One is the Swami Vivekananda force, another is Major General is Brahmananda. And Swami Brahmananda and Vivekananda, they actually made it the message available to the world. With the advent of Sri Ramakrishna, a new spiritual movement have started. The scientific exploration to experience the truth, that is the path of knowledge of the supreme reality. A time when Sri Ramakrishna came was challenged by the so-called educated people of the time. Everything ancient and life-giving thoughts and experiences were ridiculed by that time. Materialistic ideology took the supreme stand over the age-old spiritual ideals of India. And at this critical juncture of time, in 1836, Ramakrishna was born, who rejected the so-called secular and materialistic way of approach to life and plunged himself totally into the spiritual depth of finding the cosmic consciousness and the bliss inside and outside. So Sri Ramakrishna didn't understand anything as it were, only samadhi, the true absorption into the inner realm of consciousness. That can be realized, he proved it can be realized here and now, and is proven to the world again that that is the truth for eternal. That we are all spirits, the embodiment of eternal joy and bliss. Again saying that God can be seen here and you can also do so, like the sayings of the Upanishadic statements that, listen, Sinnantu Vishve, Ramakrishna declared that "Oh, children of divine bliss, listen, I have realized that truth. And you can also do that." And he got this. Sri Ramakrishna's advent, we'll go to that little bit later on, but let us go to the philosophy. After attaining this experience of realizing the highest truth in so many ways, all the ways which has been practiced by sages and saints to thousands and thousands of years, by so many millions of people, he is the consummation of that. After attaining his all success in all the different paths, so then he wanted to preach this message. He wanted not like preaching, not like going to the platform and say something, but he was searching for sincere. He didn't make an organization himself, but he actually created this organization. He thought, he wants whom to talk about, whom to give this treasure, who can understand this experience, that life is full of bliss and it can be experienced, and all religious traditions are trying to reach the same goal. So that was his inner cry. That's why we all know Ramakrishna used to cry for ending their goal, to meet there where he will find some pure soul who will be able to grasp this ideal of this experience of purity, of love, of genuine dedication to the good of the world. So that mission. So he was searching for Shuddha Sattva Bhakta. Those bhaktas, devotees, will be extremely pure Sattika. And as he did his own practice for purification of the heart, showing us how much to do, he also wanted searching for that. And then we know that in time, after crying to mother, and mother showed that they will come, wait. In a mystic vision he saw. And then he waited, and we know the historic meeting of Ramakrishna and Naren, Ramakrishna and Rakhal, Ramakrishna and Baburam, and others all. But major two important soldiers, military generals, are in the movement of this Vedanta movement of Ramakrishna's new forum. Here he is said to Vivekananda and Brahmananda. Here Sri Ramakrishna's, I will go to that, how Sri Ramakrishna came into the world. You know, Sri Ramakrishna, who is Ramakrishna? It is very difficult for us to say. Swami Vivekananda even does not say much about that. But Sri Ramakrishna is the same absolute truth. As we know, Avatara we hear, as in the Bhagavad Gita, it is declared that he comes again and again to destroy the darkness and ignorance and lead mankind, to that highest goal where there is no duality. So Sri Ramakrishna's advent, that's why it is a phenomena in the spiritual realization. But he came, he was a mixture of all spiritual ideals and also an embodiment of jnana, of bhakti, of yoga, of karma. And that is his mission, to preach all the yogas. And he is a perfect son in all these yogas, all these methodologies, all these moods and spiritual practices. So we see that his birth is very unique. We all know that story. Sri Ramakrishna was born in the family of Khudiram and Chandra Devi. But they are very pious Brahmin. And they are dedicated to God. They don't understand anything mundane of the world much. And father went to that pilgrimage in Gayadham to offer the oblations for the forefathers. And there, after everything, he saw that when he was offering, his forefathers were so happy. They are released from their bondage and they are blessing profusely Khudiram. And at the same night, he saw, what he saw? He saw that the Lord Narayana, Krishna, no? We call Krishna, Narayana's incarnation is Krishna. So it is Krishna, Narayana with 4 arms and appearing before Khudiram and say that I am coming to be born in your home. I will be born in his child. And in the dream, the father said, no, O Lord of the universe, don't come. I am very poor guy, how shall I manage your food? I am a poor guy, I can manage my food someday not. So I will not be able to take your responsibility. Then Vishnu Narayana said, I will take care of itself, myself. You are not to worry about that. We know that story. And there we see another unique story is happening here in Kamarpukur, when there Chandra Devi standing in front of the Shiva temple. Jugi family had a temple, and standing there, what she saw suddenly? In that inner sanctum and sanctorium of the temple being flooded with light, and a beam of light started coming from Lord Shiva's and then entered into her body. And she felt as if a baby is, something is entering into her, and she fainted. People in the village thought it is just one type of fainting. Many can get it, but it is nothing higher than that. His ghost may have possessed or something like that. But it is a realization that Shiva is entering into her. And then as you know, after in time, there is born Ramakrishna. So Ramakrishna is these 2 aspects. Dominantly find that from the birth it is coming, the Shiva aspect and the Narayana aspect, Krishna aspect. And the world needed, because the world is fighting all the time, Jnana versus Bhakti. Jnana is dry rituals, dry argumentation, and Bhaktas dry ritualism only and emotionalism. And now to improve in these 2 aspects, Sri Ramakrishna came as a combination of Shiva and Narayana. And when he came, he manifested, you see, in the childhood, he's playing in the Shiva role, in that theatrical performance in the village at the time of Shiva night. And we all know, when Shiva, the person who was to play in the role of Shiva was absent, then Ramakrishna, the young Godai, was found to be appropriate person who can at least manage the situation. So he was dressed well like Lord Shiva. And as soon as he appeared in the stage, he went into samadhi. And in such a samadhi, so the whole play is gone. But the tuning to that Shiva consciousness, from the very birth we find that. And then we find that while walking in the field, in the paddy field, and seeing the dark cloud, on the backdrop of dark cloud, the white crane flying, seeing that, he went into samadhi. These are the Shiva nature, spontaneously going into deep state of samadhi, thinking about the real nature of it. It is spontaneously coming. So it is and Sri Ramakrishna, in future time we understand that he did all types of sadhana, but it is in the early stage we find it is happening spontaneously. And his sadhana which ended with Tutapuri, we can take it that is a non-dualistic. Shiva is non-dual always. Shiva is compassionate. Shiva destroys the evils. Shiva destroys the ignorance. And at the same time, Shiva is all auspicious. So see, to bring that auspiciousness in the world, Sri Ramakrishna imbibed that, and in that state of pure consciousness, when in the Nirvikalpa state, say Vedanta Guru Totapuri came and he went into that. And at the same time we find that in his life all the practices, crying for mother, Ma, Bhishan, this is bhakti, the spiritual practice as devotional path manifested in him. So he is getting into tears, flooding the chest as it were. So avatar has no need for him to do, but for setting an example and distributing it to the good of the world. So he did all these spiritual practices Sri Ramakrishna did. Now, what a good link, great link. And he was waiting for the right type of recipient and who can carry on his message and the spiritual experiences to the people who are scorched in affliction. And then we find that he was searching, and when he saw Swami Vivekananda, first Naren, he exclaimed and said, is it possible that in this condition of Calcutta, where people are all centered around money and worldliness, can there be any such pure soul coming like that? He was overwhelmed, the first meeting. Can there be any such? So Sri Ramakrishna's, but he saw in the mystic vision that his mind is soaring high and high and high. And then went and he found that the gods and goddesses are sitting on the right and left of his journey. Crossing them, their level, he entered into a plane of non-dual reality where 7 sages were deeply absorbed in meditation. And then this ray of beaming light which was transcending the gods and goddesses, going higher region, take a form of a child, and that is Ramakrishna. And then he embraced this one of the 7 sages and said, I am going, you will have to come. And in the samadhi, he didn't get up, deeply in like Shiva, immersed in perfect samadhi, but the cool touch of love, God's call, no? For whom he is waiting for samadhi, why he is staying there, not merging into the absolute. A little trace of ignorance is being read, or little trace of difference, bhava mukha or whatever. And then Sri Ramakrishna took the form of the child, avatar coming. He wants his soldiers to be on the right and left. So he embraced, and the sage who is absorbed in samadhi could not say no to it, rather silently opened the eyes and nodded the head and went into samadhi again. We find this is the source from where Swami Vivekananda Naren is coming. And we find that Sri Ramakrishna also saw beam of light coming from the direction of Benares to Calcutta one time afterwards. He recognized, this is then that yogi might have born. And that story we know, how Vivekananda, Naren is born. Naren's mother was praying for a child like Shiva. So she was fasting days after days, and requested one of her relative in Benares. And that temple is called Bireshwar Shiva. The Shiva temple specifically, that Shiva temple is Bireshwar Shiva. And there, that relative used to go every day, and perform worship. and finish that in Benares. And mother will be staying in Calcutta, fasting till 3 o'clock, 4 o'clock, and then will break her first fast and think of Shiva, 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 and praying to Shiva. So we find that that is the, before Naren's birth, that is the thing happening with his mother, and their relatives are offering worship to Shiva. And that's why Bireshwar is shortly have been mentioned as Bile. His early name was Bile. And we find that it is coming from the Shiva nature. And Ramakrishna saw that beam of light coming from the Benares side to Calcutta. So this is the birth. And also we find when he is born, his Shiva nature. He is adept in meditation. He sits for meditation with playing with the brains and say, okay, let us play. Meditation, play. We play so many things, no? Hide and seek play, we play running and competition and who will be first and second. Nothing. Naren is encouraging everyone to play meditation play. And meditation play, that story we know, like that Shiva. So he sat and all the children are sitting together. And suddenly one snake appeared. How the snake appeared in the third floor of the house, in the top. In the third floor of the house, suddenly a snake appeared. And seeing that snake, all the children ran away. But where is Naren? Bile. He is steeped into samadhi. No? And the other family, mom and other came and saw that the Bile is there and the snake is there. Shiva and snake has a connection. So, and then we find that he is absorbed. He is totally oblivious, and suddenly the snake also disappeared somewhere. Anyway, so we find that that is the Shiva nature. What is born of only for the auspicious, give auspiciousness to the world and sacrifice for the world. Shiva is all dedicated. He has no purpose of it. He drank the poison for the good of the world. He is the only person, Asutosha. All these characteristics we find in Swami Vivekananda's life. Asutosha, Asu means quickly, become satisfied. You can, if you hold on to, that's why it is said if you want to get to Ramakrishna, you have to catch Vivekananda, Naren first. His own friends, Thakur will not like. He said, okay, why are you bothering me by bringing these boys? They are not yet ready. And Naren will not leave them. No, you will have to do something. You have done this, you will have to do this. And out of sheer pressure, sometimes Ramakrishna had to do things, awaken their spiritual consciousness. So this is this Vivekananda born, and we find from the Shiva nature, and his whole life was going on. Analysis, analytical mind. He cannot accept anything without any rational understanding. Clear analytical mind and rejecting everything which is illogical. That's why he tested Ramakrishna so many years. And now he came to Ramakrishna. We know the story. Why he came? To inquire, where he asked him for a first question, have you seen God? That was the entry question. And then anyhow, then first day he came with his friends and he brought him in the Dakshineshwar room on the one veranda, and then asked, and then started feeding him sweets and other things, and then bent down and said, oh, you are Nararishi, Narayan, you are my God, you are Nararishi, you are the Rishi. As Nara Rishi, Nara is one of the Rishis, and even Narayana. And this Vivekananda thought, Naren thought, oh my God, really he is a crazy guy. To whom I have come. I am a naughty boy of Simla. Everyone gets afraid of me because I am so critical and I don't believe this, that. And he is saying, I am Narayana, I am Nararishi. So he is half crazy, of course. So he rejected that way. And that we know, then afterwards, his touch, his transformation, what happened gradually, it took years to bring Vivekananda. The Shiva, in his original Shiva, is divided into two streams, as I said. One is Shiva, another is Narayana. Now we are talking about the Shiva aspect. So Shiva is manifesting there, and this is touching of him. One day, Sri Ramakrishna touched him in Shambhu Mallik's residence, and then he went into Samadhi, and then Ramakrishna put that question, why have you come, what is your mission, what purpose you are here, all this, and he got all this from Naren and understood that he is the right person now, and he focused his attention to build his life. And as a result, when he went on, and we know what Swami Vivekananda did, it is a history. He blasted into the society like a bombshell, and then transformed the ideology of India as also of the West, East and West. So it's a non-conventional, and he channelized the spirituality to be manifested in our life, in monastic life also, in a non-conventional way, which is the orthodox people will not support, and also his own people didn't support it. But Swami Vivekananda didn't want to stay here. He always wants to be with his Shiva nature, to tune into that consciousness. But Ramakrishna, after giving the highest experience, seeing everywhere the divine, then he said, this is the key, now it will be with me. You finish first your work, mother's work. He used to say mother. So when it will be over, then you will get back your keys. Now, there on the other side we find that here is Sri Ramakrishna has his vision in Dakshineshwar. He suddenly one day saw that the mother, divine mother, Ma Kali, came and put a child on his lap. And he got suddenly shocked and said, Mother, what is this? It's my child? No, it is not your child. It is your mind-born child. It is actually Tyagi, renunciate, Manasuputra, mind-born child. That means your philosophy, your ideal will be manifested through him. That is Swami Brahmananda Rakhal. And how mysteriously he was connected with Ramakrishna. Rakhal came not out of his own, but he was married to Manamohan's sister. And Manamohan was a devotee of Ramakrishna. So to show Ramakrishna, his newly married brother-in-law, and brought him to Ramakrishna. And before coming, Sri Ramakrishna in mystic visions he is seeing, on the Ganges there is a lotus, and on that lotus a boy with the anklet in the feet is dancing with Krishna. My God! And Ramakrishna used to see all the time, so he thought it is the same, anyhow, some mystic vision. But what happened? Immediately, instantly, with short time, Sri Ramakrishna found that Rakhal, with his wife, Manamohan's sister, and Manamohan, all are gradually coming down from the boat and then enter into Ramakrishna's room. And Ramakrishna's eyes were transfixed on Rakhal. And he said that, and looking at him said, and Manamohan introduced that he is our brother-in-law now, this, that. And then he saw the same face dancing just before coming. So he was so internally correcting. He said, oh, what I saw, it is the same. And then asked, what's your name? And when he said, my name is Rakhal, then Ramakrishna was overjoyed and said, yeah, Even the name is Rakhal, no? Cowherd boy. So, is Krishna's playmate. So, that we find here is the entrance of Rakhal and Ramakrishna's recognition of Rakhal. And his Rakhal is Rakhal of Braja or Vrindavan, no? And Sri Ramakrishna dealt these two, built up this life of Naren as also of Rakhal in two directions. In two ways, according to their temperament. You know that story, Rakhal wrote, signed, those days Brahmo movement was going on, and they have signed papers, no? That we will not bow down our head to idols. This is idol worship, image worship. Because God cannot be with form. It's all Hindu religion is a crooked expression of the Brahmins, or they have created this fuss. So, but he came to Ramakrishna, both of them are coming, and they were only born, it's so surprising. Brahmananda and Vivekananda Brahmananda, they are only 8 days difference, no? 8 days difference. Born in the same 1863, and their date is only 8 days difference in their birth. And what a coincidence, and they were grown simultaneously in the same area, Simla. And there they used to go for wrestling and all this, making the body strong. They used to play together. They are good friends from their very childhood. And when they came to Ramakrishna, they again met together. But one's temperament is little soft and devotional, and another is like Vivekananda. Vivekananda is Swami Prabhupada has mentioned in the Eternal Companion that Swami Vivekananda was like a blazing fiery sun, scorching sun and burning all the ignorance and destroying like an open sword, killing all the demons and fasting. And he said beautiful expression that is Brahmananda is like a soothing moon, full moon in the night, very soothing, soft and light, by his unassuming life, transforming, removing the darkness, removing the ignorance of the whoever came in their orbit. So both are doing the same action of the mission of Ramakrishna. One is a blazing fire, Shiva nature. There is no humbug. All analytical minds should have to discuss all philosophy and all the critical analysis of all religion and what is the truth. Intellectually you should be satisfied and then step into the sadhana. And most of the message you can find, it is of the Vedantic message, which is the most of the Shiva nature. Of course that was the need of the world, so that's why they did. But mostly we find that Swami Vivekananda is of the nature to remove the darkness by following the path of knowledge. Of course, all I cannot say that he is exclusively, but major idea it's called Swami Vivekananda is more of jnana and expression. That's why it is said Ramakrishna's inside is full of jnana, outside is love. And Vivekananda is full of outside of rigorous reasoning and analytical or jnana, and internally totally soaked with love inside. So they cannot be separated, but as for discussion's sake, we are bringing it that it is the Shiva nature and it is the Krishna nature. So we find that after Sri Ramakrishna gradually built up their character according to their nature, and one day, when Rakhal, after signing even, went with Ramakrishna, and Ramakrishna was saluting Makali, and Rakhal also saluted Makali, and Naren saw it from a distance, and as soon as he got the chance, he started scolding. You are a liar, you signed that you will not bow down your head before any idol, and you are doing like that? And he was so nervous. Then Sri Ramakrishna said, my God, don't scold like that. His nature is different, your nature is different. That's okay. Don't use such harshly. So he will be afraid to see you. Anyhow, so, but Sri Ramakrishna built up their life in the caste in which direction he wants, because he is master. He himself has gone through all the traditions and paths, no? And then he guided them both to make his future organization. So, afterwards Ramakrishna passed away. Then the Baranagar days of austerities and all these tremendous spiritual practices, then moved to the Alam Bazar Math, and there is a flow of spiritual practice. Day and night they are absorbed in meditation. Where the day is coming, where the night is going, no one cares about that. Stepped into deep spiritual. That's why it is Ramakrishna is nothing but the embodiment of spirituality. And the Sangha is also nothing but spirituality. And that was more made dynamic in the life of the 16 disciples, and mainly guided by Vivekananda and Brahmananda. And that way, then all this story is now history. Swami Vivekananda, then after Baranagar Math, Alam Bazar Math, then he went for wandering around, and then gradually coming from south, he came to the Chicago, and all these stories one by one happened. And whereas the Maharaj is also, Raja Maharaj, Rakhal Maharaj, he was also absorbed in this deep meditation and growing and strength, more spirituality is like a dynamo. That's why Maharaj could easily, by look, by change, by touch, could transform any person from their ignorance to the enlightenment. So that was after that coming, Swami Vivekananda went back to India. Swami Vivekananda in this country, his major life, the energy of the whole life, youthful energy has been totally exhausted here. Of course, because of his expression, he could express the ideas here. It revolutionized India and also the whole world. So that was the need of the time. But he was talking about the path of following the knowledge, that is the Shiva aspect is more focused in his speeches. Against all prejudice, against all misconception, hazy ideas about the philosophies. So cleared all things, and he emphasized God realization is the goal. You are Atman, you are not body, mind, etc. has been emphasized in the Shiva. Shivoham Sankaras Stotra. I am not this, I am Atman. So Swami Vivekananda was the embodiment of that. And now we come to Ramakrishna passed away, then Swami Vivekananda's activity created a sensation all over the world. Like as he said, that is blazing, fiery sun, dispel, Surjo Jathanam, as the sun dispels the darkness. So Vivekananda sun dispelled the darkness of the mind of the people. But what happened after that? And the Ramakrishna order was established. The deep foundation of spirituality. But now, after Swami Vivekananda went back second time, and he fell ill, and whatever he was doing there, when he left the physical frame, there came a big vacuum in the whole Ramakrishna order. Every day his presence was a strength of the whole sannyasi group of sannyasins. But when Swami Vivekananda passed away, who to guide? Everyone thought this organization is going to be ruined totally. And actually, Swami Vivekananda made Swami Brahmananda as the president of the whole order. And he honored the word Sri Ramakrishna said. Rakhal has the power to rule a kingdom. So, Brahmananda Maharaj is the president of the Ramakrishna order. But after Swami Vivekananda's passing away, this order, this organization faced tremendous problem. And that Nivedita, different reason. First of all, such a powerful personality, Nivedita, she got engaged more with the Indian freedom fighting movement and encouraging, because she thought Swami Vivekananda has given her the idea that to love India, to do whatever. Actually, it is Nivedita's contribution for Indian freedom fighting and his cultural development is tremendous, unsurmountable. So she had to separate out from the order. Then the Christian missionary, they were very much against this Ramakrishna order, because this neo movement, Swami Vivekananda brought it, Ramakrishna's movement, that is transforming so many people. All the young people are now charged in the spirit of Vivekananda. So naturally missionaries become very angry. Then Dharmapal, Anagarik Dharmapal, in the Buddhist, some type of disharmony came there. They are also started criticizing right and left this Vedanta, this Ramakrishna order. Miss Muller also fell into that group. Swamiji's own disciple, one of the Westerner, she also moved the opposite camp. Some of the certain groups in the Brahmo movement, in the Brahmo Samaj, they also went opposite to our ideology. Some neo-Buddhist movement, neo-Vaishnavism, so many opposition groups started to criticize, to destroy the... But there was this... over and above, there are some fools who thought Vivekananda, this Belur monastery, is their monastery, their guru's monastery. Our guru is Vivekananda, so Vivekananda's monastery. How we will manage everything. And that you could understand what turmoil is going on there. And there, this Swami Brahmananda, with his spirituality, with his softness, with love, with affection. He sometimes said that to these boys who are going to feel that they want to have their Vivekananda as their goal, and they will recreate this movement. Let the old-timers get out. Then he said, even someone tried to leave the order. Swami Brahmananda said, do you think that we don't love you anymore? Only Vivekananda loved you and we don't love you? With such appeal, with his spiritual life, unconditional love, and mainly his own character that put them together, and that is the Ramakrishna order. So what I wanted to say, that it started with the mission of God's mission manifested in the form of Ramakrishna, took two channels, one the path of Shiva path, another the path of devotional practice path, and love and dedication for God. And then they merged into the form of an organization, what we call the Ramakrishna organization, what is called the Vedanta movement. And in that movement, it generated energy is working through that. And the pioneer is Swami Brahmananda and Swami Vivekananda. So this is the unique blending. That's why in this organization, what is the mission, what is the contribution of this world to the world culture by this organization through Swami Brahmananda, through Swami Vivekananda, is the foundational thing, is that harmony of religions. That is universal. This Ramakrishna order with Brahmananda, Shivananda, Vivekananda, they had fundamental point, the harmony of religion. And in their, they don't say that all religions are same. No, that is not the point. All religions are not same. Religions are different paths. But he recognizes the difference in practice. Difference may be in practice, but all lead to the ultimate goal. When they reach the ultimate, that is the same. And the spiritual ideal has been fixed by Sri Ramakrishna and Swami Vivekananda and Swami Brahmananda emphatically. There is no other thing but this. What is that? God realization is the purpose of life. Direct experience is the purpose of life. That is the contribution to the world culture. It is not that it was not there, but it was not focused. It was not brought out into the public forum to discuss openly that religion has no other purpose but God realization, direct experience. Then it is a bridge between the ancient and the modern. This Ramakrishna order which we belong because of Vivekananda, Brahmananda, it is talking about the bridge. It is a bridge between the ancient ideology of the Vedic culture and the modern science and technology. Both are bridged together. It does not contradict. Most of the religion, there is the contradiction. But here, in the spiritual quest, in this tradition of Vivekananda, Brahmananda, led by Sri Ramakrishna, there is a bridge between this. There is no difference. It is only exploring farther and farther and farther, and ultimately realize. It boosts the moral life. That is another contribution. Truthfulness, renunciation of lust and gold and greed. These were given as the special contribution of this order. It is boosting, but if people talking big things will not do. They should have to have their character. See, we see, Swami Vivekananda was like, as he said, a cyclonic monk. But Swami Brahmananda sat with deep spirituality, holding the whole order. And he moved from all the places in India after this Swami Vivekananda's passing, coordinating together, bringing the spiritual group together with this ideology of harmony, with this ideology of bringing the ancient idea with the modern monasticism, and this truthfulness in character building, that the ideal of spiritual life is renunciation of lust and greed, not just giving up home and becoming a wandering monk, make you spiritual. The renunciation of the lust and greed, that should be the focus. And that, with the blazing life of Swami Brahmananda, it continued and became a tradition now. He says the divinizing love, that is the another contribution. The elevated love for emotional to the level of unity of all cells in God. That means individual love, emotional love, elevated to the love of divine, which we read in the Upanishads. The husband does not love the wife because of the husband or because of the Atman, like that, those messages. It is making practical in the life of our great predecessors, Swami Brahmananda and Vivekananda. So it is Sri Ramakrishna saw the divine in the wife, in his disciples, even in the fallen men and women. We find that Swami Brahmananda is doing the same thing. The people who are fallen in those days in the Calcutta theatrical world, Maharaj gave them initiation, mantra, lifted them from their societies. They used to look down upon these people, but Swami Brahmananda pushed them up in the level of equal to the devotees who are pure soul. So these are the special contribution of these two great souls, Brahmananda and Swami Vivekananda, and that ideal of knowledge and devotion should be merged together, blended together. So in our life. So this is the remembrance of Swami Brahmananda and Vivekananda, because that was the two birthdays we just celebrated. So we think of them more, then we get the benefit of their contribution, and we can build up our life in that. So Is there anything? Shall I conclude? I can chant that.
There was some quite animated discussion about vegetarianism, and that the Swamis aren't vegetarian, and how can you talk about samadhi and then butcher animals and these kind of things, and then other people arguing the opposite side, that you have to understand.
I will read Swami Brahmananda. Swami Brahmananda says, practice, through practice of spiritual disciplines, the heart will be purified and new realm will open. You will realize that God alone is real and everything else is unreal. But when through japam and meditation a little awakening comes, do not imagine you have achieved it. Light, more light, onward, attain God, gain His vision, talk to Him. So, this eating business is your personal, Baba. We need not have to pay so much. Think about that. Vegetarianism and this is a condition, but that is not our discussion today. We should have to focus on our discussion. That is how to be spiritual. That is our point. If you like, okay, you become vegetarian and you be vegan, and you don't even eat anything you eat, you only live on air or water, no problem. If that makes you come close to God so quickly, please do that. And if one does that way and goes to God, let them go. So give freedom to all and you be free also, I think. So this is an eternal question always, this vegetarianism, non-vegetarianism. Yes, of course, if your heart does not want, don't take anything, but don't think that non-eating, only vegetarianism is the sign of spirituality. Gita does not say that. Gita says that ahara suddhi, and ahara is what? That is viddha sattiko ahar. Just go for definition, what Gita says, and there we find they are not saying don't eat this or eat that. What they said, what suits your system, makes it more pleasing to you, it gives you calmness, serenity, that is your food. Of course, if you like, go on. But why the others are doing, what is your business? Say?
Sri Ramakrishna says, blessed is he who chants the name of the Lord even if he eats pork. Whereas that, shame on him who eats havishyana, the purest, just boiled vegetables and ghee, but his mind is on
the carnal thing, on the lust and greed. So, yes, I think that it has its justification. We should not kill animal, kill this. These are a big argument. But the point is that no, people don't think that way. If one is born in a particular environment from childhood, they don't think I'm killing someone and eating. So, but if it bothers you, don't take it. That's good. So, we should not go into further details. Rather, we are talking about Swami Brahmananda and this Vivekananda, who didn't understand anything but God. Try to keep the mind. Do you love your wife? Respect your wife. Do you love your husband? Do you love your children? Do you love your neighboring people? Does your heart bleed for their suffering? Then I salute you. And if not, only vegetarian or non-vegetarian, these are all has value, but it is superficial. We have to go to the core. That's why Avatara comes every age. So we end here. Then I'll chant. I'll now chant one chant for Swami Brahmananda Maharaj. Very common. Om Kalindi Full Kamale Madhavena Kridarata Brahmananda namastubhyam Sadguru Lokanayaka Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Oh, we bow down to Swami Brahmananda, who is the leader of humankind and a true spiritual teacher, Guru. We salute him who dances with the Lord Madhava, Sri Krishna, on the full-bloom lotus over the river called Kalindi Jamuna. Our salutations to him. Om, peace, peace, peace be unto us all.
And have come now, Maharaj. Do you want to hear them?
Yeah, if we have.
How to reconcile Swami Vivekananda as both from the Sapta Rishi, one of the 7 sages, the Sapta Rishis, and as Shiva.
These are not compartmental. It's not a watertight compartment. If you develop in one sense, in a path of jnana, it automatically your love for humanity, love for others will come. So in Swami Vivekananda, how can you reconcile that Shiva nature as also Krishna nature? Naki?
Sapta Rishi, that he's one of the 7 sages.
Okay,
well, is he one of the 7 sages or is he Shiva? Which one?
Oh, acha. Shiva, it is the question of Saptarishi, is this meditative state they are talking about. When Shiva remains in his absorbed mood, that can be considered as the Saptarishi stage. But when he manifests in the world, then he works in the Shiva nature of dancing, singing, or whatever activity level. So, yes, you can, as Sri Ramakrishna said, he belongs to one of the 7 sages. But these 7 sages are not of the plane of here. You have to understand. He is giving a description that his mind goes high, high, high. You can see gods and goddesses on your both sides. Then there is your mind goes to a higher flight, merging into the absolute almost. There you find 7 holy people are steeped in deep meditation. We don't understand what is that, how in that, it is called Akhanda. That is a plane where no duality. This description as Ramakrishna gave, Akhandir God. That is a place where there is no duality, but trace of duality is there just before merging into the samadhi. So that is the Shiva nature. Shiva in his major time what he does, look at Shiva. Shiva's normal stage is in deep samadhi all the time. So I think that can be reconciled, and Ramakrishna had seen it, so we cannot contradict that, whatever his vision. And I can visualize this way, his Shiva nature. Because even when he was a naughty boy, in his childhood, he used to do some thing, play with that sisters and do all troublesome thing. And the mother cannot control the child, baby. Then he used to bring some water and pour over his head and say, Shiva, 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 Shiva. And that boy is totally calm and serene. So these are the aspects, these are expressions of the same spiritual personality in different ways. So who knows, unless we have realized who is Shiva, who is Krishna, and who is actually Rishi, 7 says. For us it is only few words. We have heard from our Sri Ramakrishna, or in the writing we get all these things, and we try to correlate. And Swami Vivekananda was Shiva. I gave you the example, the snake, the child, he is meditative in such deep depth. He forgot about the snake has come. The boys are run away. It is so deep. It is the Shiva can meditate like that, oblivious of the whole world. I think there we can reconcile.
Another question. Why did Ramakrishna have a very poor view about Tantra? Maybe it's the misunderstanding.
No.
The left-handed Tantra.
Yeah. Yes, Ramakrishna has very poor idea about Tantra. It is a very bad and it is not a right statement, because Ramakrishna practiced 64 ways of Tantra. Every bit of the path of Tantra he has practiced. But you have to understand what is the meaning of Tantra. Tantra does not mean any sexuality, sensuality. Tantra means to transcend that and see the Divine Mother everywhere. So that's why he is criticizing we ordinary people cannot bring that idea of the Divine Mother's presence. When people go to that type of practices which is needed in the left-handed Tantra, there are people, of course there, that's why tradition still continues. But how many people can keep their mind in God when their situation or the practicing context leads them to such lower level of existence? We live in the lower three chakras, and those who are Ramakrishna, for him, when a young girl was brought, naked girl, and Bhairavi said, you will have to sit in her lap, and Ramakrishna was thinking, how can I do that? And as soon as he sat, he went into samadhi. So where is the condition there? This context of this sex does not come at all. Mind shoot high up. Unless you keep that, you are falling down into the abyss of ignorance. So that's why Ramakrishna, for the good of humanity in this modern age, has forbidden not to take the left-handed Tantra, but Tantra has right-handed idea. See Mother everywhere. So that's also an idea. So you take that Tantra path.
Question: why in spirituality there are so many ifs and musts? What if there is no devotion, no faith, no discipline? What if someone is brought to spirituality, to Ramakrishna, without any qualities? What if, once on the path, one gets more misery, not peace, and discovers only rejection, hate, evil tendencies, etc.?
What if all these things come? Then what is the question then? If this comes, then what is the...
Well, the question is, it seems that the questioner is maybe feeling a little bit discouraged about spiritual life, it looks like.
No, we are not here to... So, yeah. So, no, I think that question does not come. You have no quality. Don't think that you have such a worst guide in the world. No. These questions have come in your mind, then you are really a great soul, because you can understand that I have no quality. So, yes, with this humility, real humility, oh Lord, I have no quality. I have come at your door. God will protect, God will give everything. And there is not necessary that I will have to do japa meditation. It is grace will dawn. Grace will dawn to one who is sincerely praying that, oh Lord, I am nothing, I am incompetent, make me your own. Ramakrishna taught all these lessons, and all the mystics of the world, they taught. And do you know, your question, against your question, we all say, I am not competent for spiritual life yet. Who is competent? Swami Brahmananda used to say, you will do austerity. Are you competent? Are you capable of doing? We are not. But by His grace, we do that. So we should be that much clear in our mind that really that brings us humility in our life. Yes, suddenly I come being beaten by the world, and I come at the feet of Ramakrishna or any divine spiritual tradition. No. And that is your good karma. That negative thing has brought us before the Lord. That is a grace of God, and that you are fortunate if anyone really feels that after getting a stroke from the world and rejection from the world, and I come and suddenly I fall before you, O Lord. That itself is your past life's good karma, coming in a different way. Not that everyone will start doing intense prayer and meditation. But anyway, any way to go to God is the question. How you come, that is not the question. You have come to God, that's enough. If your life, your good karma has brought you to a spiritual life which is which will be able to remove all darkness and ignorance and pain of life, that itself is the grace of God. Feel that and thankful to be to God to say that, yes, it is your grace. Sahosa dekinu nayano melia enecho tomar duare. Rabindranath Tagore has a beautiful statement, "O Lord, I was moving in my life, but suddenly I find that you have brought me at your feet. So much struggle, failures and frustrations and gain and loss, I am here at your feet. That's all. I am at your feet." Okay.
Coming at the end of time, but one last question. I studied in Ramakrishna Mission Narendrapur. Can one live a spiritual life having a family?
Yeah, why not? Ramakrishna came for that. Is it the spiritual life only for a few monks? And how many monks are there in the world? In India, 1.4 billion people. And now how many monks will be there? No. Yes, so Ramakrishna came. Swami Brahmananda, we are reading today Brahmananda Swami's life. Swami Brahmananda was married. And he has his family. But because he took the path of renunciation, so he could not do the justice for their family. But all these, see, look at Nag Mahasaya, look at Master Mahasaya, look at the Balaram Bosu's family, look at the, Devendranath Majumdar, so many women devotees, look at them. They are all extraordinary people in spiritual life. Yes, and that is the way. Please read Gospel. Ramakrishna said, hold on to the feet of God and do your job. One hand, hold on to the feet of God and do the other duties of the life. Yes, there is a path, and that's why Ramakrishna came in this age. Not for few monks only. So, I think that nothing to be worried about that. You are a student of Narendrapur, so you have some background, you have got the basic education, and you know, now read Gospel, you keep touch with us, call us. If we can help you in any way, we will be glad to do that. Okay? Of course. And there is every possibility that you can get realization even before us, if you are sincere. Thank you. Jai Ma. Jai Srimad Swami Vivekananda. Jai Sri Guru Maharaj Ji ki Jai. Jai Mahamai ki Jai. Jai Swami Ji Maharaj Ji ki Jai. Jai Raja Maharaj Ji ki Jai.